That was before I knew the turning trick. Oh, turning tricks, no. Anyway, next. Hello. So somebody asked me what sewing tools are my favorite to use. And these aren't must-haves, but they're very nice to haves and they make my life a lot easier. So I thought I would share with you my favorite sewing tools. Okay, so first up, some good shears. Now you don't have to use fancy scissors. These are Gingher? I don't know if I'm saying that right, but some nice dressmaking shears really make your life a lot easier. These are heavy, and see how it's flat here? So that you can more easily cut the fabric along the table. These make your life a lot easier. Highly recommend saving up and getting some nice scissors or shears. Along the same vein is actually these little thread snips. They're also Gingher, I don't know. Someone help me. These little things are so, there's like a spring in there, so you're not having to force it down and then back up. It's just one movement and then they come back open automatically. But these little things are so useful for just snipping your thread. Again, you don't have to have these, but so helpful, so helpful. And then the other things, the other cutting kind of tool I would say is very helpful is pinking shears. If you don't have a serger, then you've got to be able to finish your seams, and if you don't want to French seam or do some other kind of specialty fancy finish, you can just pink those babies, especially if you're doing a vintage kind of piece. Pinking shears would have been very popular in the 40s, 50s, probably before then too, but they're a period accurate seam finish. Okay, so I was also thinking about things when I trace my patterns that are very helpful and I would not want to be caught without, and that is one of these metal rulers. It's got cork on the back so it doesn't slide around like crazy, and it's got a little bit of a weight to it, so it kind of helps keep your tracing paper on top of your pattern without sliding too much, and you can measure stuff. It's just really good to have one of these. The other measuring thing, you know, obviously you want a measuring tape. That's pretty much a given, but it's really nice to have one of these clear quilting rulers too. It's nice to be able to see through it exactly what you're trying to trace or, you know, mark. I believe this is just in inches, but I'm sure you can get one in centimeters somewhere, but really helpful to have one of these. Okay, also helpful for tracing, I like to use this, I think it's 36 inches wide, I want to say. This is the tracing paper I use, and it's actually meant for architects to, I guess, draft on. It's just like a normal tracing paper. I like it. It's pretty cheap. There's a ton of it. The one I had last year lasted me all year. So highly recommend this. Okay, so my life changed. Seriously, it's dusty. When I got one of these, one of these guys that, you know, is in an office or a classroom. It's so heavy. Oh my gosh, when I'm tracing and I just need a piece of tape, oh, I love it. I think I got mine at Costco actually, and it came with like a ton of tape refills, so yeah, highly recommend one of these. Okay, so then I feel like this might be kind of an unexpected one, but it's tweezers actually, and they're the kind that have the little teeny tiny point on top. They're not angled. I like to use these when I turn my corners. I know that you can buy specialty ones called a hemostat. Turns out hemostats are actually a medical device like that. Someday I might upgrade to an actual hemostat. So I like to, instead of cutting my corners and then folding, I usually leave my corners intact and then basically fold it in on itself and then turn that inside out so it's nice and crisp, and also you don't run the risk of having your threads, your fabric kind of pop out like these did. That was before I knew the turning trick. Oh, turning tricks, no. Anyway, next, actually, this is my last one to talk about. Oops. These, there's a hair stuck in that one. These are my Taylor's ham and sausage. I made them myself. I used a pattern from, I think it was Victory Patterns. It was a free pattern, and I just used a canvas, duck canvas from Joann's, and I stuffed them with scraps so they're kind of heavy. These are super helpful, especially the ham. Sausage, not as much, but it is still helpful. It's helpful for like pressing sleeves. This is super, super helpful for pressing curves. You know, if you do a princess seam bodice, you can press that bust seam. It's just really, really helpful to have one of these little guys. So definitely make one, buy one, make one. They're super easy to make. Just, yeah, can't recommend this enough. So for any beginners out there, I would recommend that you do a few projects and kind of make a note of any time that you say, man, I really wish blank was easier. Every time you do that, search for a tool that could make that thing easier. Like, man, I really wish turning corners on my collar was easier, or I really wish it was easier to trace, or anything that might be giving you a hard time. That is the kind of thing that you maybe should look for a specialty tool for. Don't go out and buy a whole bunch of tools that you may or may not need. Why have a whole, cabinet full of tools that you maybe only use once a year, if that? Maybe you buy something and you never use it again. I think it's better to have fewer tools that you use all the time than it is to have a ton of stuff. It's kind of like that whole kitchen gadget thing where they say, don't buy a single-use item. I mean, I kind of disagree. Like, if you use that thing all the time, like for me, that would be like a garlic press, Could I just sit there and mince it? Yeah, but I use that thing all the time and it makes my life easier. So I guess that's kind of the mindset I would encourage you to adopt, is if there's a specialty tool that would make your life easier, you're going to use it a lot, go for it. Otherwise, I think you're good with just the basics, like this stuff. Let me know what your favorite sewing tool is, what you can't live without. If I didn't mention any of these, obviously I didn't mention every single sewing tool that you might need. These are my main ones that I think are worth upgrading or having. So let me know if that was helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Mwah. Bye.